As a parent of a teen, I'm sure you do everything you can to help your teenager make good decisions, provide them with guidance, reflect on how that situation made you feel as a teenager, so you think you have your teenager set up for success. So why does your teenager ignore all of your advice and go and do exactly what they were going to do anyway? Well, in today's episode, I explain why teenagers think they know everything and why you know nothing. Hello, I'm neuroscientist Dr. Ben Webb, sharing brain advice for a mentally healthy and happy midlife. Welcome to episode 76 of Better Brain, Better You. How are you? I hope you're having a great week, and thank you so much for joining me for today's episode on why teenagers think they know everything. But before we start, I want to give you a free workshop on how to parent a teenage brain. In this workshop, Dr. Zoe Webb and myself explain why parenting a teenage brain, rather than their behaviour, is one of the most effective ways to deal with challenging behaviours during the teenage years. We cover social media and gaming addiction, sleep problems, how to talk to your teen, and dealing with teenage mental health problems as well. So you can watch this free workshop at ologyonlinecourses.com/workshop. That's ologyonlinecourses.com/workshop. This free workshop really will help you to understand your teenager's behaviour and give you some scientifically proven tips for parenting their brain. As a parent of a teen, I'm sure you try to help your son or daughter make good decisions. You provide guidance, you give your child facts, you explain the pros and cons, you talk to other parents, you think about how you felt when you were a teen and the consequences you suffered when you made poor decisions. You think you've set your teenager up for success. But then you discover that your teen has taken none of your advice and has done exactly what they wanted to do all along. Well, while this is frustrating and upsetting, there is actually a reason teens behave in this way. So the most important part of their brain, the prefrontal cortex, isn't yet fully developed and isn't talking to the rest of their brain either. In fact, their prefrontal cortex isn't fully developed until they reach their mid-20s. And this is why, even after you explain the dangers and consequences, your teen may still make poor choices. Her prefrontal cortex isn't helping her yet, and so she all too often makes impulsive decisions just because they seem like the fun thing to do. So what is the prefrontal cortex? Well, you can think of the prefrontal cortex as the CEO or the boss of the brain. Another way to think about it is like the brakes on a car. The thing with teens is that they get the petrol, the impulses, but they have a faulty brake system, an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex. So the prefrontal cortex is responsible for a lot of different behaviours that you will see your teenager often doesn't really have a grasp of yet. So it's responsible for planning ahead. So with a developed prefrontal cortex, you would say, I have a lot going on this week, I better not schedule anything else. Whereas with an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex, your son asks you if he can go to 2 concerts this week. He has 2 tests on Wednesday and a big history project due on Friday. Obviously, he's not planning ahead. The prefrontal cortex is also responsible for managing emotions and delaying responses. So with a developed prefrontal cortex, you're driving and someone cuts in the lane in front of you, you feel like ramming into their car, but you control yourself and you drive on. With an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex, you're making dinner and your daughter walks past. She had a tough day at school. You ask her if she wants a snack. She yells back, "Whatever, mum," and slams the door. She's not managing her emotions or delaying her responses. The prefrontal cortex is also responsible for empathy. So with a developed prefrontal cortex, you're having lunch with a friend. You can tell she is exhausted and discouraged before she even opens her mouth. So you offer her some words of support and care. With an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex, you've had a long day, you walk in the door and tell your son that you're exhausted and need help with dinner. Because he's 14, he does not yet accurately read or understand the emotions of others. So he says, "Mum, I always help you," Why are you so demanding? I need to talk to Jessie anyway. Let me know when dinner's ready. The prefrontal cortex is also responsible for self-awareness. With a developed prefrontal cortex, you can come home from work and snap at your daughter, and then 20 minutes later, you apologise because you realised that you were tired and took out your frustrations on her. With an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex, you're trying to have a discussion with your son, you calmly ask about his weekend plans, he gets all worked up and responds, I don't know, Mum. You ask one more question and he blows up. You say, why are you so upset? He yells, I'm not upset. You're the one who's upset. He's not aware that he is shouting and how he comes across to you. So the prefrontal cortex is also responsible for your conscience. So with a developed prefrontal cortex, you get pulled over for speeding and the police officer asks you, is this an emergency? You hesitate for a second and then say no. With an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex, your daughter wants to go to the party because a guy she likes is there, and you ask her if the parents are going to be at home at the party. She lies and says yes. She probably doesn't feel bad that she lied. She'll probably only feel bad if she gets caught. Her conscience is a little flaky during the teenage years, especially when there's an opportunity for fun. So because the prefrontal cortex gathers information from the rest of the brain, it's also responsible for considering the big picture and understanding the cause and effect of different behaviours and situations. So with a developed prefrontal cortex, you know that if you're going to be successful in work, you need to be reliable and trustworthy. You know that if you don't follow through on your work with a client, you might likely lose that client. With an underdeveloped prefrontal cortex, teenagers often don't consider the big picture, the cause and effect. So they act impulsively. So Phoebe's angry with Robin because Robin likes her ex-boyfriend. She spreads gossip about Robin all over school. Phoebe didn't think about how that could backfire on her. So now Robin is spreading rumours about Phoebe, and Phoebe's friends stop calling and start hanging out with Robin instead. So even though your teenager often thinks they can make grown-up decisions on their own, they sometimes need a little bit of support and help from you. There are some major holes still developmentally. Your teenager will often need you to help them think through all of their actions and consequences. So don't let your teen's grown-up appearance, their body, fool you. Your teenager is still a work in progress, and their brain is completely rewiring itself from back to front right up until their mid-20s. So they still need your guidance and protection throughout these critical years of their development. And don't forget, you can watch our free parenting video at ologyonlinecourses.com/workshop. That's ologyonlinecourses.com/workshop. Thanks so much for tuning in today and spending time with me. Take really good care of yourself, and I will look forward to seeing you next time.